Nebraska's winter wheat crop is developing in what can easily be labeled less than ideal conditions. To help illustrate the point, in west central Nebraska, Lincoln Journal-Star reported this week North Platte went 365 days without recording more than an inch of rain in any single day. Total precipitation since the end of last April equaled just more than 7.2 inches, which broke a previous record set during the 1930s. 44% of Nebraska's winter wheat is now rated as either poor or very poor, but the reasons could be varying. Wheat in the Panhandle and in the southwestern corner of the state is not only suffering from drought, but it also saw April temperatures fall below freezing. Meanwhile, wheat in southeast Nebraska has recently seen cool, wet weather move in, opening the threat for disease. We talked with UNL Extension plant pathologist Stephen Wegulo Tuesday about how soil-borne mosaic and other diseases could affect this year's crop.
We have had very cold temperatures, as you have seen, prolonged in April, and as a result of that, the wheat crop is about 2 to 3 weeks behind schedule.
One of the things that we're seeing across the state, or at least the southeastern portion, is wheat soil-borne mosaic virus. How widespread is it, and how detrimental can it be?
Well, this virus is pretty much widespread in southeast Nebraska and even south central Nebraska. You can see large patches of yellow standard wheat in wheat fields, and the virus is transmitted by a soil-borne fungus, which is favored by cool, wet weather. And as you know, we have had some rainy weather, and that has favored wheat soil-borne mosaic. So it's quite widespread in southeast and south central Nebraska.
Are there any treatment options or treatment things that people can do now?
No, this is a virus, and usually once wheat is infected by a virus, there is nothing that can be done. However, for next year, you can choose resistant varieties. That's the most effective way to manage wheat soil-borne mosaic virus and any other viruses of wheat.
How much yield can it take out? How much of a hit would a producer take if they had a field that was widespread, or the effect was widespread?
Up to 20% to 25% yield loss is what we expect from insusceptible varieties. But most varieties will have those that have resistance to the virus. The yield loss will be very minimal.
Since we're so far behind normal, what do you expect to see, or what would we normally expect to see around this time of the year that therefore might be coming up around the corner?
Well, by now we should have been seeing stripe rust, but because we had a prolonged cool period, we don't have that rust in Nebraska yet, but there have been reports of stripe rust in Oklahoma. So we expect in 3 to 4 weeks we may see some stripe rust in Nebraska. And so at this time, growers should be out scouting their fields. They should start scouting not only for early detection of stripe rust and other diseases like tan spot and powdery mildew, but they should also be getting prepared in case we get stripe rust. Then they should be prepared to apply a fungicide, especially if they have a variety that is susceptible, and also if this wet weather is going to continue, because that disease is favored by cool and wet weather.
So even in the irrigated and non-irrigated, in some portions where we've had a lot of rain?
If we have a lot of rain, it doesn't really matter whether wheat is irrigated or not. The environmental conditions will be favorable for disease development.
Anything with leaf rust that we've seen anywhere outside of Nebraska?
We have seen leaf rust to a small extent in Oklahoma, but in the southern states like Texas and Arkansas and Louisiana, we have quite widespread leaf rust. So leaf rust comes a little later than stripe rust. So we expect to see stripe rust first, and then maybe towards the end of May, we may start seeing leaf rust in Nebraska.
And any susceptibility or potential damage from powdery mildew that you see on the front?
Powdery mildew is another disease. It can cause substantial damage to wheat, especially in irrigated wheat or wheat that has where there is a lot of moisture and the stand is thick. It can cause up to, again, maybe 20-25% yield loss in susceptible varieties. And again, this is part of the reason folks should be out there scouting and if they detect powdery mildew or any other leaf diseases, then they should be prepared to apply a fungicide.